So good, so good, so good.
Spring styles are at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and they're up to 60% off. Stock up and save on Rag & Bone, Madewell, Vince, All Saints, and more of your favorites.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Why do we rack? For the hottest deals. Just so many good brands.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Kayak gets my flight, hotel, and rental car right, so I can tune out travel advice that's just plain wrong.
Bro, Skycoin. Way better than points.
Never fly during a Scorpio full moon.
Just tell the manager you'll sue. Instant room upgrade.
Stop taking bad travel advice. Start comparing hundreds of sites with Kayak and get your trip right.
Bad advice? You talking to me?
Kayak. Got that right.
This content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion advised.
From Killer Podcasts. True tales of horror, bizarre happenings, unexplainable events. This is Disturbed. Hello, and welcome back to the show. This week, we have 5 creepy experiences that will keep you looking over your shoulder. So sit back, listen closely, and dive into the horror. In our first story, find out what happens when you give a stranger your phone number. Narrated by Laura Lockwood from Reddit user Golden Ninth Planet.
I had wanted to visit Stockholm for a while. I knew the city was beautiful, and I wanted to check out all the amazing architecture and waterfront views. The thing is, it takes over 20 hours to get there, and that always seemed too big of a hurdle. When I turned 30, though, I decided I had waited long enough. I booked my flight as a present to myself and went alone. Solo travel is always more difficult for women, but I wasn't worried about Stockholm. The city has a reputation for being safe. Plus, Northern Europeans tend to be pretty introverted, so I didn't have any worries. The day I arrived, I just meandered through the city. That's my usual plan when I travel. It's fun to soak it all in and get a lay of the land. And at one point, I was walking over a bridge and stopped to take a photo of the city. As I was taking the photo, a cyclist stopped and offered to take a photo of me. He was in his late 60s and clearly a local. He said it would be a shame if all my photos were just scenery. I thought it was very kind of him and agreed. He took the photo, chatted a bit about cultures and my visit, and we parted ways. About 20 minutes later, I was on a footpath headed toward the old town when the cyclist appeared again. He pulled up alongside me and asked if we could get coffee sometime. I said, sure, and gave him my number. He seemed friendly, and I thought it was a cool opportunity to make friends with a local in a foreign city. Those types of experiences have always been the most exciting and meaningful to me, even if it's just for one afternoon. A few days later, he asked me to meet. We found that dinner was better for both of our schedules, so we went to this place he recommended. The food was great and the conversation was really nice. We talked about the city, his career, my travels, that sort of thing, and parted ways at the end of the night without incident. We didn't talk for nearly the next week until I texted him on my last day. I wanted to visit a local jewelry store, so I asked for his recommendation. He told me about this handmade jewelry workshop, which I thought was perfect. I went there that night after dinner and picked out a beautiful pair of blue earrings. When I left the store, I found him standing right outside. He lived nearby in the city center, so I thought it must have just been a coincidence. We chatted for a bit until he asked me to wait for a moment. He went inside the store and came out with a mug. He told me it was a goodbye gift and asked to hang out again. My flight was the next morning and I needed to get some sleep, so I said I wasn't able to. We said our goodbyes and I went back to my hotel for the night. After I left Stockholm, he messaged me nearly every day. He said he felt like he had a pen pal and that he was glad to talk to me. We talked mostly about food and culture, but one day he mentioned that he wanted to come visit me. This was the first thing he said that rubbed me the wrong way. He knew where I lived and that it was a 20-plus hour flight, and I don't live in a big tourist destination, but I brushed it off. Later, I asked him about why he initially approached me on that bridge. I always thought of Swedes as being introverted and thought they usually don't want to talk to random strangers. "You were cute," he said. It was a bit awkward, but I said thanks. And then things started to escalate. We were talking about ice skating. I'm from a place that never gets snow, so he said I should visit Stockholm again in winter so we can skate together. "If you fall," he said, "you'll fall into my arms." At this point, I was getting creeped out. It's kind of creepy for a nearly 70-year-old man to talk about a 30-year-old woman like that, but I made a joke and laughed it off. That was easier than worrying about it. Next, like a day later, he was talking about his mom. "She would have liked you very much," he said. Again, weird, but that's all it was. Until a few days later. I mentioned that I really like how the Swedish hotels provide separate duvets for each person instead of sharing blankets. Apparently that's the norm for Swedish households. He took that as an opportunity to ask if I slept naked. And the final straw happened when we were talking about a traditional Swedish dessert. It's only made during winter, and I said it was a shame that it wasn't available. He said, "Oh, why? Have you been naughty?" Now he was being overtly sexual. I was totally weirded out and stopped replying shortly after that. I showed the messages to my friends and posted them online to make sure I wasn't overreacting, and everyone said he was being gross. I was upset. I thought I had made a friend, and to have him turn around and be creepy like that felt like a betrayal. I blocked him on WhatsApp and Instagram and decided I wouldn't talk to him again. After only 2 days, he messaged me again, this time from a different WhatsApp number to get around the block. Here's what he sent. "I've been thinking a lot about us the last few weeks and had been planning to talk to you about us before you went silent. We've talked a lot since we met, almost every day, and it has meant a lot to me. I've really enjoyed our contact. I love having you in my life. This past month, however, it has felt a bit different. When I've written to you after work, you haven't replied until the next day, as if your evenings were off limits. This is what I planned to talk to you about. It also felt like I had been initiating most conversations, but now you seem to have blocked me completely on both Instagram and WhatsApp. Why? I don't know if it's work or something else, and I don't want to assume anything. So I would like to ask you to tell me what's on your mind because I do not understand at all what happened or why. This is both very confusing and the silence hurts, and I would like to know what happened. Did you meet someone? Did I say something that upset or hurt you? Is it work or family, or are you not feeling well? You're of course free not to talk with me anymore, although that would be very sad, but it would be very nice if you told me why. Have I behaved poorly without realizing it? If so, I am really sorry, and it would be good to know what happened. Through our earlier conversations, this man had my full name and address. Now I realize how stupid that was. I mean, he could show up at my front door if he really wanted to. My name and photo are even on my employer's website, so he could easily find out where I worked. I decided the best thing to do was respond and de-escalate. It was a pleasure to meet you. However, over the past few months, some of your replies have been making me uncomfortable as they are clearly romantic or sexual innuendos. It happened many times, and I will give you just a few examples to illustrate. I then listed all the incidents I talked about earlier. These are not just my feelings. I asked a few close male and female friends who grew up in different cultures. They all think these are 100% sexually suggestive and inappropriate. I'm definitely not looking for romance in a much older person. I thought our encounter was strictly platonic. Therefore, I regret to say I don't want to contact you anymore. Please stop reaching out to me. Thank you. Smiley face. Then, of course, I blocked his new number. Now, I just have to sit and hope he doesn't flip out or anything. He's always seemed very kind, but who knows? Clearly, my judgment of him has been wrong from the start.
Stay tuned for more disturbing stories. This time of year always makes me rethink what I actually wear. I try to keep fewer things, but better ones. Pieces that are easy to throw on, feel good, and hold up over time. That's why I keep coming back to Quince. Quince makes high-quality, everyday essentials using premium materials like 100% European linen, and my favorite, their flow-knit activewear. It's moisture-wicking, anti-odor, and soft enough to wear all day. I've worn my flow-knit zip hoodie at least once a week for the past few months. It's warm, cozy, and stretches in all the right places for comfort. The best part is the price. Quince items are about 50 to 60% less than similar brands because they work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen. You are paying for quality, not markup. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. Go to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping and 365-day returns. quince.com/disturbed. Starting something new always comes with that voice in the back of your head. What if this doesn't work? What if nobody shows up? What if I waste my time and money? The hesitation is real, and it's usually the thing that stops people before they even begin. But if you're building something, having the right platform makes a huge difference. That is where Shopify comes in. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Whether you're just getting started or already growing, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store with hundreds of ready-to-use templates that match your brand style. You can manage inventory, payments, analytics, and more all in one place. And if people have not heard about your brand yet, Shopify helps you find customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. If you ever get stuck, their award-winning 24/7 support is there. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/disturbed. Go to shopify.com/disturbed. That's shopify.com/disturbed. Next, waiting for the school bus shouldn't be scary, should it? Narrated by Mickey James from Reddit user RelationEffective600.
When me and my sister were kids, we grew up on a full-blown farm. We had horses and goats, and every morning we had to feed the animals before school. About 10 years ago, when I was in elementary school, we rode the bus to school every single day. We had to make the walk down our long, tree-lined gravel driveway and wait at the end of it for the bus to arrive. Our parents made us ride the bus, whether it was hot, cold, raining, or snowing. Our house was located right next to a pretty big river that was a well-known fishing spot. There were many days where we'd see people fishing while we waited. The early bird catches the worm and all that, I guess. There wasn't a real parking lot by the river, and people would park their cars along the side of the road that led up to our house. There was one car that seemed to always be there. It didn't look any different from the other cars. It was a tan, plain, four-door sedan. But the creepy thing was that this car would leave whenever we got on the bus. We would walk to our seats and watch it follow us for a few hundred feet before it turned down another road. We tried telling our parents about it, but they seemed to think we'd made the situation up. One rainy day, we convinced our mom to drive us to the end of the driveway and wait for the bus with us. We pointed out the car, but she didn't seem to think there was anything creepy about it. Nothing ever really happened with it, until one day in December. It was a really cold and snowy morning. My sister had gotten up late, and she sent me to wait for the bus, and to make sure I didn't leave without her. As I made the long trek, I had my hands in my pocket, my hood up, and I was looking at the ground to keep the wind off my face. I was over halfway down my driveway when I finally looked up, and that's when I saw him. A man was dressed in all orange, standing at the end of my driveway. He was holding something in his hand, but I couldn't tell what it was. And I didn't want to stick around to find out either. Fear coursed through my body, and I ran all the way back to the house. I flew through our front door in a panic, startling my sister, who was putting on her coat. I told her what I saw, and she believed me. She said that she thought she'd seen someone in orange when she fed the horses that morning, but didn't pay much attention because she was running late. In a panic, we told our stepdad what we saw. He actually believed us this time, and we all went out to see what this guy was up to. Even though we lived right by the river, no one ever came into our yard. When we got to the end of the driveway, it was empty. I knew what I'd seen, and I showed our stepdad where he had been. We looked all over, but didn't find any footsteps or tire tracks in the snow. In fact, there was none to be found anywhere. The bus arrived and we got on. As we found our seats, our stepdad turned back down the driveway and we saw the tan sedan pull out from where it had been hiding and drive off. Nothing ended up coming out of this, and we never saw that car again. But as a kid, it genuinely scared me from walking down the driveway to get on the bus. I've always believed that it wasn't just a coincidence that I saw that man during the same time frame that we'd seen that car. My sister and I still talk about this whole thing. Who knows what could have happened if I hadn't gotten our stepdad that day.
Next, a pit stop turns into a crime scene. Narrated by Bodhi Crowe, from Reddit user FewJellyfish7263.
Me and my friend Jeb were driving down to Florida for spring break. I've driven long distances before, so I didn't think it would be an issue, but I was very wrong. Somewhere in the Carolinas, a monsoon started. It felt like I was driving through a car wash that would never end. Around 2 a.m., we were in Nowhereville, and I was starting to get tired. Looking to take a break, I saw a sign for a gas station in the distance, and we got off at that exit. We pulled into the dark parking lot and got an eerie feeling. The place was worn down and backed up against a dense forest. Absolutely nothing else was nearby. I was suddenly very aware of how alone Jeb and I were. We quickly realized the gas station was closed, but we got out anyway to stretch our legs and find a bathroom. We looked into the store, and I could see the restroom sign in the back corner. We went around back to try to get in, but we couldn't. All the doors were locked. I saw some bushes behind us and figured that would work. Luckily for us, the rain had slowed down to a steady stream, and we were wearing our rain jackets. As we were relieving ourselves, Jeb suddenly asked, "Hey, can you see that giant rock poking through those woods on that hill?" Yeah, I can," I said. "Just barely, though." Jeb was noticeably tense. With concern in his voice, he said, "Look on top of it." I squinted my eyes to find what he was talking about. 300 feet in front of us, there was a figure, barely visible, standing on top of the rock. It was hard to see through the rain, but from what we could tell, it was one person, and they weren't wearing any sort of rain gear. They were just standing in the rain, getting drenched. Even though we could barely see them, we could tell their eyes were on us. It was terrifying. We all stood there, staring, waiting for someone to make the first move. I got a feeling in the pit of my stomach, telling me that we probably weren't supposed to be there. After what seemed like 5 minutes, Jeb motioned that it was time to get out of there. We backed up slowly, then sprinted to the car. Once we were safe inside with the doors locked, Jeb said, "I think it was a girl, but it was hard to tell in the rain." "Car beats some rando without a car 9 times out of 10, I replied. With my knees still weak, we pulled out of the parking lot, kept our headlights off, and drove towards the woods. I pulled over on the side of the road and angled the car so that my lights would shine on the rock. The rain had picked back up and it was pouring again, which made it kind of hard to see. But what we did see sent chills down our spines. There were 2 large men wearing all black and dark face coverings, dragging something large and heavy across the ground. When they reached the giant rock, one of the men got a shovel and began to dig. At some point, they realized we were there and looked right at our car. They yelled something to each other, threw down what they were holding, and started walking towards us. Jeb and I looked at each other, and without saying a word, I threw the car into reverse. Words cannot describe how fast I got back onto the highway. There were no other cars on the road, and as we sped away, I looked back to make sure no one had followed us. We rode in silence for about an hour before Jeb finally said, "What the fuck was that?" When we got to Florida, everyone told us we should have called the cops. But the thing is, we didn't really even know where we were or what we really saw. To this day, every time I hear about a missing person, I wonder if they're buried behind that rock.
Disturbed will return in a moment. I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money where I can see it. Unfortunately, traditional big wireless carriers seem to like keeping it too. For a long time, I was overpaying for wireless, dealing with high bills, random fees, and perks that did not actually save me anything. Eventually, I got fed up and switched to Mint Mobile. I've been a Mint Mobile user for 3 years now, and I can't recommend it enough to my friends, family, and you, disturbed listeners. Mint exists to fix the whole overpaying for wireless problem. Their premium plan starts at just $15 a month. You get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. I kept my phone, kept my number, activated with eSIM in minutes, and that was it. No contracts, no hassle. Compared to what I was paying before, the savings add up fast. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Your favorite local grocery stores like Kroger, Ralph's, Fred Meyer, and more are now delivering on Uber Eats. Get 40% off your order of fresh, quality ingredients. Whether you just got home to an empty fridge or suddenly got a craving to whip up something new, you can get everything you need delivered in as little as 25 minutes. Get 40% off your order with code Kroger2026. Plus, members get $0 delivery fees. Order now on Uber Eats. Orders of $30 or more save up to $25 and 4/30/26. See app for details.
Finally, a sleepover takes a turn when a visitor arrives. Narrated by Maxwell Glick from Reddit user Mulder182.
I was about 8 years old when this happened. My brother is 2 years older than me, and we were both friends with brothers of the same age from another family. They also had a significantly older brother, but he had a car and a license, so he was rarely ever around. We spent a lot of time out at their family farm growing up. This particular day, we were spending the night. My brother and his friend decided they wanted to stay downstairs in sleeping bags, while my buddy and I got the bedroom upstairs with the bunk beds. We stayed up late, laughing about nothing at all, just having fun. Then, well after midnight, our whispers and quiet laughter were cut off by another noise. Footsteps. I had heard them a bit earlier, but now they were too loud to ignore. "Do you hear that?" I asked my friend, practically cutting him off mid-sentence. "The footsteps?" he replied. He had been hearing it too. Someone was walking up and down the hall, just outside our bedroom door. We were the only ones on the top floor, and you could see the hallway was pitch black from the gap beneath the door. I asked if his older brother had maybe come home, knowing his room was the only other bedroom upstairs, but my friend assured me he wasn't coming home that night. The footsteps continued. Maybe our older brothers were pulling a prank on us. I decided to check it out. Quietly shifting over to the door, I waited until the footsteps had passed the door, and then silently turned the handle, cracking it open just enough to see the backside of whoever was out there, without them seeing me. I looked through the seam of the door and its frame, and I saw an empty hallway. The footsteps stopped immediately. No one was there. There was no time or no place for anyone to hide. As my mind struggled for an explanation, I convinced myself it had to be my brother. I don't know how he managed to hide, but he had to be down that hall. This had to be a prank. My friend was hesitant to investigate further, but I told him I just wanted to peek into the living room to see if our brothers were there. If not, odds are that's who we heard in the hall. Besides, the direction of the stairs was in the opposite direction we had last heard the footsteps. We'd be walking away from them. With him on board, we headed down the stairs. It was incredibly dark, and we were still worried there was someone behind us. So we descended slowly and carefully. When my foot touched the last step, something brushed past me, from left to right. I stumbled back in surprise into my friend. We both fell back on the stairs, adrenaline at an all-time high. It was too dark to see exactly what it was, but I definitely saw a tall figure, and I felt the air move as it ran past. We stayed still, silent, listening for whatever came next. Nothing. My friend had had enough. I told him I was going to at least peek out into the living room, and he made his way back to the room. Without leaving the imaginary safety of the staircase, I leaned myself out into the living room. To my left, I saw my brother and his buddy. completely asleep in their sleeping bags. Even at 8, I could tell when someone was pretending to be asleep. I had done it dozens of times myself, but they were out cold. Whatever had run in front of us had been in there with them. Not taking the time to process this, I continued to scan the rest of the main floor. To the right was the kitchen with a fairly large window going out into the yard. I could see the driveway, well lit from a nearby yard light. I froze. My grip tightened on the railing. Someone was walking down the driveway onto the property. It was an older man, late 40s, maybe 50. He wore coveralls with visible patches. His shoes looked old and very worn. A thin denim-looking jacket also showed signs of stress. Topped off with an equally worn hat, an old style I had never seen someone wear before. He was carrying a large burlap sack over his shoulder. It, too, had a patch sewn on its side. All of this was overshadowed by the most bizarre detail of all. Everything about him, his clothes, hat, skin, and even the sack he was carrying, was a soft, glowing gray color. I stared as he walked down the driveway. My mind was empty. I simply couldn't process it. I was locked in a trance. After a long moment, I shook it off and bolted back upstairs. My friend was already back in his bunk, and I explained what I had seen. Whether it was the look on my face or the tremble in my voice, I could see he had no problem believing me. Silence and tension replaced our previous light-hearted whispers and laughs. Somehow, we eventually fell asleep. The next morning, we didn't say anything. No one would believe it, especially coming from the younger brothers. Besides, I wasn't ready to have that conversation with anyone. We all sat in the living room, watching TV before our day got started. Their mom entered the room behind us. This woman was one of the nicest I've ever met, patient and always wearing a genuine smile. This was the only time that smile was absent. She looked pale and extremely tired. Her eyes were dark with bags below them. She didn't look at any of us, just stared past us across the room. "Did any of you see someone walking around last night?" Her question seemed like it was meant for no one. We all stared. I was so caught off guard by her demeanor that I didn't even connect her question to the events the night before. We all just shook our heads, indicating we hadn't. Without another word, she turned around and went back into her room. Immediately after, I realized what she had really asked, and the pieces started to click. I never told her. I never told anyone. My friend and I didn't discuss it again for nearly 2 decades, and even that conversation was brief. As of this recording, I still haven't told my brother. I didn't know it at the time, but this was my introduction to the paranormal. It would be followed by numerous events throughout my life that would open my mind to unbelievable possibilities. Impossible things you only hear in stories or see in movies. Things you don't talk about with most, but still live in the core of your mind. Things that, after nearly 3 decades, still make my heart beat a little faster.
New episodes of Disturbed drop every Thursday. If you love the show, consider becoming a member to access early and ad-free episodes. There you can also access our exclusive monthly series, A Night by the Campfire, where we share the scariest stories we can find from professional authors. A few episodes have been released here for free, So scroll down and listen. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed. If you have a story you'd like to share, email us at mystory@disturbedpodcast.com or post on our subreddit, r/disturbedpodcast. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and leaving a review. Disturbed is a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more true crime and paranormal shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Our producer is Sarah Wilgrube, and Declan Roars is our executive producer. Audio engineering by Nathan Corson, Sean Rule Hoffman, and Will Pritz. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Until next time, stay safe out there.
Do you ever meet someone and think, wow, they've really been through it, and then realize we all have? That's what We're All Insane is all about. It's a podcast where real people sit down to share their stories that have shaped them. The raw, unfiltered moments that don't usually make it into everyday conversation. There are no scripts, no interruptions, and no filters. Just honest storytelling that unfolds naturally. From heartbreak and loss to recovery and resilience, every episode is a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we're never really alone. If you love hearing real stories that make you feel something, stories that connect us all, this is one you'll want to subscribe to. You can listen to We're All Insane wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Sunday.